Men's cricket is a sea of left-handers, southpaws, goofy footers, whatever you want to call them. We see them everywhere. It's a very normal thing. However, this is new. And traditionally, those kinds of players were, pardon the pun, left behind. And that's where women's cricket has been, in a right-hand dominant world. Until now. In the last two World Cups, 2017 and 2022, you have about 16% of women in those editions who bat left-handed. For this tournament though, we're up at 20%, and you can see that's a bit of a jump. It's not huge, but it's certainly not nothing. Too many people compare women's cricket to the men's in the wrong way, saying things like Mithali Raj is the Sachin Tendulkar of women's cricket. But these are two very different kinds of sports. Using the men's game as that kind of a comparison allows you to understand that. The top 10 sides of men's ODIs over the last couple of years, you have 32% of the batters who are left-handed. So when you look at where the women are this tournament, it's still a mile behind, but kicking in the right, or in this case left, direction. Some of this is just professionalism. More women in the game, more athletes. Players are now being picked on their skill sets and how they fit into a lineup, not just on how talented they are. But there can be no doubt, when it comes to this World Cup, women's cricket is leaning left. The good areas conversation never ends over on our live channel. Head over and watch it all there. My latest book is The Art of Batting. It delves deep into how the best players ever made their runs. Get your copy today. Right arm seam is the most used form of bowling in women's, men's, and I don't know, probably alien cricket as well. If you close your eyes and imagine a bowler, it's about an 80% chance it will be a right arm seamer. In professional men's cricket, they deliver about 45 to 50% of all the deliveries. At the Women's 2017 World Cup, they bowled just under 50% of the time, which again is very, very normal. And you can see by 2022 that it actually gone up to 54%. I still think that's within the range that we would expect. But up until the 4th of October in this World Cup, we'd only seen 37% of the deliveries from that dominant form of bowling. Remember, this is an Asian tournament, so perhaps all that right arm seam has been replaced by spinners using the orthodox arm. In 2017 and 2022, you had about 19% and 18% of off-spin bowled in those tournaments. And in women's cricket, you tend to see a lot of finger spin, even being bowled with the power play or at the death. Now you're in Asia with less right arm seam, you'd actually expect even more off-spin. Instead, we're seeing almost exactly the same amount. So there's one more right arm bowler we need to check. In 2017, we actually saw quite a lot of leg spin being bowled, up at 12%. That came down to 9% for the last tournament. But for this one, we're back at 12 again, so not a huge difference. So there has not been more right arm spin taking up those deliveries usually bowled by right arm seam. And just to get a better understanding of the differences here, I wanted to show the men. Right arm seam over the last couple of years in men's cricket is 44%. Traditionally, it's a little bit higher, so it has dipped. But that's still a lot more than this current women's drop. Off-spin really isn't much of a thing in men's cricket anymore, certainly compared to the women. And then with leg spin, these numbers are very similar. That is a change though, as women have only come to leg spin over the last couple of years, after preferring finger spin for a long time. But what all this tells us is that men's and women's games are not the same, which we obviously already knew. But also, right arm seam is not being bowled a lot this World Cup, and it is not being replaced by right arm spin. Left arm seam is actually the first thing I ever looked into for the women's game as an analyst. I'd written so many pieces about left arm seamers in T20 and ODIs and even Test cricket when it came to the men. I kind of wanted to see if the patterns held up. And when I looked, I found almost no left arm seamers. Even a couple of years ago, it was really common to watch multiple games without a single left arm seamer for the women. In the 17 World Cup, there was 4% of the bowlers that were left arm quick. In 2022, that went down to basically 0%. That was going massively away from the pattern of the men. But in this tournament, it's changed a load. And there is now 9% of southpaw seam out there. A massive change. And this is not an accident. This is something that women's teams have understood that they have needed. So they're willing to take in someone who's maybe not quite as talented just because they are left arm. And so when we look at the drop of right arm seam, we can see that a lot of that is going directly to the lefties. So there are more left-handed batters in this tournament, and there are more left arm seam bowlers. And ignoring left arm wrist spin, which is basically what cricket does until one pops up, we are left with one last thing, left arm finger spin. They have risen from 15% to 20%, a decent leap. If you're watching this tournament, even subconsciously, you have probably noticed this. Cricket's most boring bowling skill set, just on a loop. SLA versus RHB, on repeat. With all of those right-handers, 3/4 of the batters, selectors have gone all in on left-arm orthodox against it. It is very common to see all-right batting partnership in women's cricket, and then a wicket happens, and you still have another righty coming out. So why not just double down, or sometimes even triple down, on left-arm finger spin? Even with the natural advantage that a left-arm orthodox has, you would never see this much left-arm finger spin in men's cricket outside of maybe against a few associate teams. But what you see in men's cricket is left-arm seam everywhere. And even with the women picking every available option, they can't reach the men. In the last World Cup, you were looking at around 15% of deliveries from the left arm. And in this edition, it's now more than doubled to just over 30. And right arm seam, that's fading. I mean, no one needs right arm seam anymore. Certainly not the women. They're heading left. Are you as chronically online as Moses Enriquez? Then here's another video for you. Or if you also like books and stuff, you can buy my new one on the art of batting. If you loved this video, hit the bell icon to be notified for more.